But you did mention that Senate race between incumbent Democrat Tammy Baldwin and the Republican challenger Eric Hovde. That's a tight race that could determine the balance of power in the Senate. Tammy Baldwin, the Democrat, is up by 3 points. What do we need to know about that race?
So where we've had complete upheaval in the presidential race, the Senate race has actually been incredibly stable. In July, Tammy Baldwin was at 50%, and she is at 50% now. Hovde has consolidated his Republican base a bit and won a few more independents. And so his numbers have gone up 2 points. So the net shift between Baldwin and Hovde across those two polls has only been 2 points, and it's Hovde moving up. But Tammy Baldwin's holding her own. And if she could stay at 50%, she's going to win this race, obviously. So I think she's probably in a pretty stable position. But she doesn't have to lose much to make this a Republican takeover. But it has been a pretty stable race up till now, and I think it's you assume that a challenger is going to increase their share of the vote as the campaign goes on because they're the lesser known quantity, and the Tammy Baldwin's been around for a while. And I think that's what we've seen happen over the last couple of months. You've seen, as people have learned more about Eric Hovde, he's been able to win a couple more points, but she still has the advantage for sure.
For the past couple months, between my conversations with you as well as other pollsters, when we talk about independents, they're this group of voters that care less about the personality of each candidate, more about the issues. In Wisconsin, where are you seeing them go?
So in the Senate race, Baldwin's got a 9-point lead among independents. And if we look at Harris, she's got an 11-point lead among independents. That wasn't the case, at least in the presidential race. Trump was winning independents over Biden by 5 points. So they're a movable voter bloc, and that's some of the bigger movement that we've seen. That's a net swing of 16 points in the presidential race. In the Senate race, it actually that's where Hovde picked up some of his support. So they're still voting for Baldwin by a net of 9 points, but she was winning them by 13 points 2 months ago. And so they are in play. Independents make up a big part of what I was calling swing voters, those people who are not voting straight ticket one way or the other. They are really focused on economic issues. So inflation, jobs, Social Security. Swing voters in Wisconsin are more likely to say Social Security is their top issue than Democrats are. And so it really sort of paints the picture that if you're not talking about economic issues and pocketbook issues in Wisconsin, you're missing an opportunity to really connect with the voters who are swingable in the middle.
You've been focused on swing states now for months, and is what you're seeing in Wisconsin, a battleground state, is that consistent with what you're seeing in those other battleground states as well as the blue wall?
Yeah, so this is the first poll in the blue wall that we've done a second poll in now. But since Harris has gotten on the ticket, we have seen some trends. We've seen Democrats a bit more motivated to vote. And we've seen that here in Wisconsin, and Harris consolidating her base. And that's certainly the case in Wisconsin. I mean, Biden was winning 86% of Democrats, and now she's winning 98% of Democrats in Wisconsin. So the base has come home in the Democratic Party in Wisconsin and in a lot of these other states. And so it really has, from here on out, I think you're going to see a lot more stability in these polls because you're really starting to play with just the small fraction of people in the middle who might be able to be swayed one way or the other, in the last month and a half of the campaign. That, I think, is the big difference, is that, there's been this base consolidation. And the Senate races, I think, have shown that. So while things were sort of up in the air and really not doing great for Biden in the earlier polls, the Senate races were showing that these incumbents who are, in these battleground states, Pennsylvania, Arizona, Nevada, Wisconsin, Michigan, open seat, those races were a bit more stable and a bit more expected in terms of the number of Republicans voting for the Republican candidate, Democrats voting for the Democratic candidate. Now the presidential race is sort of in that space as well.
There are 10 electoral votes on the line in Wisconsin. When you're thinking about pathways to victory in this really tight race, who is this state more important for, Kamala Harris or Donald Trump?
I would definitely say the Harris campaign. Among a bunch of other states, I think the blue wall states for sure. Now that Georgia's more competitive, I think that sort of throws sort of a left turn for the Trump campaign about really having to compete there, because if Harris can win Georgia, then she may not have to win all of the blue wall states, although Pennsylvania still looms large, just given how many electoral votes are there, and it blocks things. If Trump is able to win that, it really closes off a lot of paths for Harris to win. But yeah, I think Wisconsin, Michigan, Pennsylvania, these are really competitive states, and they're essential, I think, for the Democrats for their path to victory.
Well, a lot to look out for. And per usual, Bob, I appreciate you coming on, breaking down the numbers for us. As more polls come out, I hope you do the same. Bob Ward, thanks for the conversation.
Appreciate it. Thank you very much.